up, gamers? Welcome back to the Iron Maxcape Speedrun Moral Percent. The old school Runescape speedrun where I try to set the record for the fastest Maxcape on an Iron without ults, boosting, or interacting with another account unless it's necessary to complete the content. And just to remind you every few episodes, the time you see on screen isn't the time for the speedrun, as that's going to be based on in-game time. The timer on screen is keeping track of the real human hours I'm putting in, including world hops, logging out to read the wiki and check the plan, and all that fun stuff that would waste in-game time. Anyway, last episode we trained a whole lot of combat by getting a black mask, as well as the supplies I needed for future 99s like red spider's eggs for herb lore and the vampire dust for 99 agility at the Hallowed Sepulchre. We ended back at the Barbarian Pond, making some potions and fishing some fish, of course, with the main goal of being a strength and agility level or two to make the next steps a little easier. By the time I ran out of potions to use, I hit 84 fishing, 72 strength, and 62 agility. Went and got 76 hunter on a birdhouse run, and then went to the Wildy Rogue's Castle to build up a nice stack of dragon stones, as well as a few sharks to help with a future goal. I basically just stayed until I ran out of prayer potions, because I didn't have like a number of gems or sharks I was aiming for. I just kind of wanted to be able to make a stack of useful jewelry for teleports, have a little bit of high healing food so I can kill some higher level stuff, and a lot of the other drops from these chests are super useful too. Got crafting XP and GP from turning the non-Dragonstone gems into amulets to Alk, death and chaos runes, noted tinderbox and pike, all stuff I totally needed. I had another real banger of an attempt at taking my life, which I escaped by running around a corner, and then went back to safety and enchanted myself some skills necklaces so I wouldn't have to use the fairy ring to get to the farming guild anymore. 61 smithing happened by accident while I was stocking up on some gold bars so that I could go make those amulets I mentioned a second ago. I charged my new skills necklaces at the Legs Guild and then ran off to Mauritania to do the blue box clicking minigame called Quest Helper. This is the first major change I've made to my run so far, because it turns out I vastly overestimated how much GP I could upkeep passively before having the major GP methods unlocked. Most people, if they need combat levels, would do Slayer, and originally that's what I was going to do. But if I want to do Slayer even slightly efficiently at 85 combat, I need either a huge amount of runes or a huge amount of GP to buy runes. Basically, I don't have enough money to burn through at the rate I need to, so we take a sec. Did a little research and found a few posts and videos about accounts that had finished Sins of the Father with about the same combat stats and gear that I had, so that became the plan. Sins of the Father unlocks some of the most powerful content in the game. It's kind of actually crazy you can do it this early in an account. Sepulchre is the best skilling method in the game. Like, seriously, it's stupid powerful. It's the best agility XP, it gives you 0-time construction and prayer XP at a pretty decent rate, and the loot is insane. The other incredibly powerful thing that Sins of the Father unlocks for me is Dale Essence, which means when I'm not doing Sepulchre for stacks of GP and runes, I can do 1.5 tick Dale Essence to use at the Orania altar for stacks of runes and GP. I don't know about you, but stacks of GP sounds pretty great right now. After Darkness of Halavale was done, I killed a giant slug thing in someone's basement, teleported to Tob to do Vampire Slayer 2 and finish Taste of Hope, and then ran up to sleep to stalk a man for basically no reason. Like, you're telling me all the people out here have never seen him go down the stairs right next to the front door of the church? Anyway, whatever, I murdered another vampire in the basement and stopped the progress of science by using violence, had some very dramatic meetings with some wolves and a sexy vampire, and then I killed a less sexy vampire so I could rub my clothes on his dead body to make them smell like him, and then got ready for my first actually difficult fight in the run. Now, unlike some speedrunners with 3-letter YouTube account names, I didn't want this to take 300 attempts, so I gave myself 2 attempts to see how close I could get and see what needed to be tweaked. On the first attempt, I got hit by a few shadows and still almost got into the lightning phase. I didn't count the second attempt because I forgot a ranged weapon for the Bloodveld spawn and tallied out, and on the real second attempt, I got through to the lightning phase before I ran out of food, which meant only a few more levels and a small accuracy increase, it was doable for sure. Which means it's time for the second major change I've made to the run so far. Pretty early on, before I even made the account, I did the math to see if getting a Dragon Defender would save more time than it took to get. I came to the conclusion that it would only be worth it if I got lucky on it, as it doesn't save a meaningful amount of time if you're doing primarily Barrage Slayer. But what I didn't account for was, well, when changing my plan, I didn't expect that for sure, but I didn't account for the annoying phase where you're high enough combat to attempt high-level content, but haven't done enough PVM to get gear because you did everything 0 time. Which means the Dragon Defender is worth it now. If I go dry on it, it saves me time getting melee levels from Inefficient Slayer, which makes the Sin Daddy fight take less attempts, and makes it easier, and if I get lucky on it, I still get levels to help with the fight, and it still gives me more accuracy to make the fight easier. Win-win. I got the Bronze Defender at 9 KC, the Iron Defender at 28, I went a little dry for the Steel Defender at 102, and even drier for the Black Defender at 211, made up for that with a Mithril Defender at 216, got the Addy one at 283, and got the Rune one 4 kills later. So far, pretty lucky overall, so I made my way downstairs to get 73 strength and 70 hit points, and got the Dragon Defender at 384 KC. That's 101 KC for the Dragon Defender, 1 over drop rate. Jagex loves me, I swear. However, I didn't get that many combat levels, so I was a little annoyed to go back to the Sins of the Father fight without much higher combat levels, but I was living on the hope that the Dragon Defender would fill that gap for me. Attempt 3, Lightning Phase. Attempt 4, Lightning Phase. Attempt 5, I died when he died, and I thought it didn't give me the sympathy completion because the quest guide still said I needed to kill him. So I made some pineapple pizzas and went back to find out that it counted, and I just wasted 5 minutes. Kinda took the wind out of my sails for something I should be super hyped about, but hey, I got it done. We killed the Sinful Daddy and finished Vampire Slayer 3, got 70 herb lore from reading the book they gave me, and then made my victory lap through Darkmire to start doing Sepulchre. Now, anyone who's smart and was paying attention will know that that was a mistake because I have a small brain and didn't move the steps around in my spreadsheet when I changed my plan, so I forgot I needed 62 range for the grapple traps and 54 prayer for the vampire dust and 56 construction for the bridge, so we'll call this a test run. Once that very intentional test run was done, I took the dragon bones I had in the bank to the Wildy altar to get 50 prayer, took the heads I had in the bank from Slayer to Kurend and got 53 prayer, and then I was going to kill a few more green dragons for prayer, but this is when the servers imploded and everyone had a bad time, so I went to do Grey Chins instead. Grey Chins are pretty terrible, especially in the Monkey Madness 1 tunnels, which is the only one I had, but I only needed to get enough to get 55 range so I could wield Red Chins, which, I mean, it didn't take that long, so... I'm not going to explain the whole method I'm doing, but they call this one-tick chins because you can set the trap in 1 tick once you started the cycle, and it makes catching them a lot faster. Basically, you knife a log, walk where you want to lay the trap on the next tick, then lay the trap and run at the same time on the next tick. Easy as. As long as the servers don't die on you. When I had my first stack of chins, I stole some alcohol from an angry god to make some range potions before ooking my way through the jungle to throw some small mammals at some dead monkeys. Annoyingly, I ran out of chins at 54 range, so I made my way back to Kurend to get 77 Hunter, and then over to Feldip to start catching red chins with the same method, which got me 78 Hunter before I left back to the skeletons. I cried a little bit, because the Grey Chins I caught got me 2k XP from 55 range, but it was a pretty quick fix, and I came back and got 55 range before throwing 800 red chins to get up to 58 range, which basically told me how many chins I would need to finish this up. Those chins got me to 81 Hunter, and I made my way back to these skeletons for the last time to finish up 62 range. After that, I went to finish the bones I needed for 54 prayer at Green Dragons. Got the level while being attacked by just the scariest Chaos Altar clan there is. I bought some feathers and teleported back to Sepulchre to build up the cash stack a bit before working on the construction level I needed. But that's for the next episode, folks. I don't know if you realize how big of a deal this is, but the run is basically open now. I'll talk a lot more about why next time, so if you want to see me finally start to crush the game, hey, subscribe if you're not, it's gonna be fun. I messed up the bank screenshot for this one, but really not much changed, other than some quest items and less potions. Alright, I'm gonna get back to Sepulchre. See you next time.